Lost Art of Fishing Stories, written by Andrew Cox. Get your copy today. Go to Amazon and search The Lost Art of Fishing Stories. The Lost Art Project, Veteran Voices with Andrew Cox. Preserving history, one veteran story at a time. Marine Corps League and Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast that's given a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art Project, Veteran Voices with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project, Veterans Voices. And today we're going to have a good veteran story for you. But before we get in the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? And make sure you go to the website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check us out. See what we're all about. There's a couple ways that you can actually support us. You can go to that website. There's a one-time donation link. There's also a become a patron link. The patron is a monthly donation, or you can go just get you some cool merchandise. And if you have a business or something of that nature, you can advertise right here on the podcast. A big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project out there doing some amazing things. I always encourage you, go take a look, read what they've got going on, look at all their merchandise. If there's any way you can help them, it would be much appreciated. That's tillvalhallaproject.com. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. All right, we're back. I got Alicia with me. How you doing today?
Oh, doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. I'm excited to do this. How about you?
I'm excited.
Nice. All right. Well, I guess let's start at the beginning then. Where did you grow up? What was that like? And then what drew you to military service?
So I grew up in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Just a small little resort town in Wisconsin. Kind of no one's ever really heard of it. Um, Honestly, growing up, I didn't really have an interest in the military. I have members of my family who were in the military, but I was not in like a military family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, After high school, I went to college at UW Oshkosh, and my roommate freshman year was in the Army National Guard, and that was kind of my first experience with the military, because she talked about how much she loved it and how great it was, and how they were helping her with her tuition. And that was in 2001. So I started
Okay.
college in 2001, so literally days before 9/11.
Wow.
And he was my roommate all through freshman year. And then sophomore year, she got deployed to Fort Bragg to kind of fill in for the active duty soldiers who were going overseas. And we kind of lost touch after that, because she never came back to UW Oshkosh.
Mm-hmm.
But like that kind of I don't know, I always kind of stuck in my head, like how much she loved, like the military. And so when I graduated college in 2006, I got a job at a bank, doing I don't know, what I had graduated college for, and I worked in a cubicle. And
Mm-hmm.
um one day I just had like this epiphany of like this is my life. Like, I'm going to live and die in Sheboygan County in this cubicle, and this is not what I want. And
Right.
so I went to a recruiting station, and I said, okay, sign me up. And so I listed in yes, I listed in the Army in 2006,
Okay.
and that's kind of where my story began.
Okay. Very cool. So 2006, you enlisted. You said you enlisted, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So at that point, not knowing a whole lot about it, what were you expecting going into boot camp?
Well, everything I knew was pretty much like what you see in movies where, like they yell and scream and make you do a lot of push-ups and it I'm not saying that like like the TV and movies is accurate, but at least initial impressions, yeah, you get off the bus and they're in your face and they're screaming at you
Hmm.
and they're yelling at you and you don't know what you're doing or they're like get in line and you get in line and it's like, okay, where do you want me to
Yeah.
stand?
Very nice. Well, talk me through going to boot camp then, and what was your boot camp experience like for you?
So I would say so like boot camp experience was pretty good. I overall like really enjoyed it. Um, so it was 12 weeks long. So the first 4 weeks was like the first phase where there's no freedom. They tell you what to do, what where to stand. Every minute of your day is scheduled, and it was
Right.
a lot of push-ups and a lot of PT and a lot of getting yelled at, and you had no privileges.
Right.
Um, and then, the second 4 weeks was a little bit more leniency. Um, like probably the biggest thing that I remember, especially of like the first 4 weeks, um, was that, like when you get to the chow hall,
Hmm.
if you're one of the last ones in line, then you need to eat fast. And so you pretty much just shove that food in your face, and you don't care if it tastes good. You don't care what it is. You don't care. You don't even really taste it. You just all just it just gets shoveled in because you're so
Right.
hungry, and you got like literally 5 minutes to eat like a whole meal that you don't even care. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and then like I said, the second 4 weeks was a little bit more lenient. A couple more privileges. We got to make um instead of like a 30-second phone call, you got like a whole minute-long phone call on
Oh, okay.
the payphones because we didn't, like there was no cell phone usage back then. You had payphones and calling cards.
Yeah.
Um, and like one of the really things that I, I mean, I get it, but if like we had this a couple of boys who, like they snuck out one night to use the payphones and got caught, and so then we all
Yeah.
got punished.
Yeah.
So they were big on group punishments, which I get because you're trying to police your own type
Right.
deal. And then
Makes sense.
the third set of 4 weeks, um, was when um that's when you have like the most leniency. They're not really yelling at you anymore. They trust that they did their jobs and they kind of let you be
Hmm.
people again.
Right. And then that second 4 weeks, that was still that was boot camp. It wasn't like your training or schoolhouse for your MOS.
Correct. Yeah. So all 12 weeks were all boot camp.
Hmm.
I was in Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Okay.
And after those 12 weeks, then you kind of get split up into your specialty. So
Okay.
my specialty was finance.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I was a finance major in college, so I chose finance, and so
Hmm.
that was also at Fort Jackson, and so that was 14 weeks of like learning your specialty,
Oh,
and
wow.
there you have there's still drill sergeants, but they're not necessarily there to yell at you. They're just basically there to walk you from point A to point B, making sure that
Hmm.
you're following the rules, being in bed by a specific time,
Right.
kind of like paid parents.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Now, the schoolhouse for you, I mean, you had a degree, so was the schoolhouse fairly easy for you?
Yeah. So, well, okay. So Army finance and like, I don't know, like what we think of as finance, like, working the banks and investments and stuff,
Hmm.
two totally different things. But yeah, actually, I did do really well. In fact, I was asked to be like a tutor of sorts. So I tutored some of the other soldiers who didn't do so great or had kind of fallen behind.
That's really cool. Now, what all types of things were you learning in the schoolhouse? Like, could I know it's different, but what types of things were you learning?
So in the army, as a finance person, there's really two types of roles that you have.
Hmm.
So there's the non-deployment and the deployment side. So in the
Okay.
deployment side, your basically your main job is to go around to all the different bases and fobs and locations where soldiers are at, so that way
Hmm.
if they want cash, they can do like what basically like withdrawals from their paychecks, so
Oh,
that
I
way
see.
there's if you're in the middle of Iraq or Afghanistan or the middle of nowhere, there's
Hmm.
no TM for you to get cash, so they
Right.
they basically do like paycheck advances, to get you cashed.
I
So
see.
that's
Okay.
kind of like the main role on like the deployment side. But then
Hmm.
on the non-deployment side, it's a lot of like um,
Okay.
accounting type business. So just managing for like the different um, battalions and brigades and companies on that particular duty station, um, managing like the budgets and accounting and um, making
Okay.
sure that they know how much money they have to spend and that they're not going over it.
Yeah. That's a pretty important thing, not going over the budget. Oh man. Well, after you finished that school, where did they end up sending you?
So I went to Fort Hood, Texas, which is in
Okay.
Killeen, Texas. It's I don't know, I guess what you would expect of a normal military city.
Hmm.
As far as the Army goes, Fort Hood is it's probably the biggest base in the United States. Um, and so I went and I worked for an HHD, which is a headquarters and headquarters detachment of a finance battalion. And
Okay.
I worked, so I went in as a specialist because I had a degree. And
Hmm.
so I worked in an office. It was just myself, staff sergeants, and a sergeant first class. And
Oh wow.
so yeah, because I guess, well, like I said, I was pretty good at my job. So I went into like a kind of like a specialty office where we
Hmm.
did like, auditing for all the other detachments.
Oh
And I
wow.
did that for like 2.5 years, and realized that I was an E4 specialist doing the job of like an E7 sergeant first class, and I was not getting paid enough money.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So after like 2.5 years, I decided to go to OCS and
Okay.
um, get commissioned.
All right. Now, so like leading up to that point and everything, were you preparing to go to OCS? Like, what was the your mindset as you were going forward?
So um like originally when I first enlisted, I had intended on like going to OCS from like the very beginning, but
Okay.
my recruiter, and looking back, like I don't regret that they talked me out of it. But my recruiter basically was like, like those people who you go straight, from basic training to OCS, they don't have like like the military background. They don't know, what to expect. It's like, how can you lead soldiers if you don't know how to be a soldier?
Mm,
So I originally had like the mindset from the very beginning just to go to OCS, but like I said, my recruiter talked me out of it, and I don't regret that I enlisted first, because
hmm
I wholeheartedly agree that, like, how can you tell your soldiers to, clean the bathrooms and take out the trash if you've never cleaned the bathrooms and took out the trash? Like,
Yeah.
you can't assign, you sign all these tasks, but if you've never worked the tasks, then you don't know, what they're going through.
Yeah, that makes sense. I could see how that would definitely help you in the long run for sure.
Yeah, but I was leading up to it, like I was doing like extra running, extra training, but then
Hmm
so when I submitted my packets, so I submitted my it takes like from the time that you submit your packet and get all your endorsements till
hmm
the time that you actually like leave for OCS, it's like a 9 month to a year long process. It's a pretty slow
Wow.
process. And
Okay.
after I had submitted my packet and had been accepted and I had a school date, um, there was an incident in the motor pool, and a Humvee jack fell on my foot and broke
Ooh,
it broke 4 bones across the top of my left foot.
holy
Um,
cow.
yeah, so uh, so I was in a cast and then a walking boots and crutches for a
Hmm
couple of months. So that had me nervous, because I wasn't,
Yeah.
I didn't want them to like push my school dates, because especially with it, I'd already, you wait like nine plus months to go to this,
hmm
and then something happens and then they push it back, and I didn't want to wait any longer. But luckily, my foot healed quickly, and um, like I was able to make it to my school dates on time as scheduled.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's good. Now, did it bother you as you were moving in, going to the school and OCS?
Um, no, um,
Okay.
not so much. However, like even like to this day, I mean that was in 2008. So like even to
hmm
this day, like if I go to get like a pedicure, and they like kind of like, massage your feet and stuff, like I
Yeah.
can it's like you get like like phantom bone pain. Like
Okay.
you can still like feel it,
Yeah.
but for the most part it doesn't like it didn't they were clean breaks. But I remember, like, so that was at Fort Hood, and Fort Hood is kind of like a training hospital.
hmm
And so there was the doctors and the nurses, and the doctors in training and the nurses in training, and everyone, like the saddest part was that they cut off my boot, because I don't know, it takes a long time to break in a good pair of boots.
Yeah.
A long
That's
time.
true.
And they cut my boot off. That was the saddest part. Was it took me
Oh, yeah.
months, years to break in those boots. But they took the X-rays, and everyone's like, "Oh, look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that," to the point where like they still hadn't given me like any pain meds. So the point where
Oh
like,
God.
I kind of like lost my cool at one point, and I was like, the next person that touches or probes or looks at my X-ray, like, if I don't get any pain meds, like, there's gonna be some, like, serious physical trauma going on here.
Well, hopefully they gave you the pain meds after that.
Oh, they did. They did, but, like, it's like you can only handle so much, because I don't know, so much
Yeah.
touching, probing, and prodding, where it's like, okay, cool, like, this is something you've never seen before. Now give me my pain meds.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's
'Cause,
wild.
yeah, like, I'm sure you've seen a Humvee jack, and, they're not
hmm
small, they're quite large.
hmm
And we were trying to load it into the back of a Humvee to go fix a flat tire, and
Mm.
it's on wheels. The wheels slipped, so it fell from like 3 feet in the air right onto my foot.
Ugh. Yeah, that's definitely not pleasant. I can tell you that. So, now talk to me about going to OCS. What was that like?
So OCS is kind of like kind of like going back to basic training, but maybe not quite to the extreme.
Hmm.
So there's the drill sergeants and they're yelling at you, and but at the same time, like you're not like brand new off the streets, so
Hmm.
they expect that you have a little decorum and a little bit of common sense.
Right.
So they're not as in your face screaming at you, but it reminded me of going back to basic training where, you had the drill sergeants and you had to, you know, they monitored every minute of your day was scheduled. You knew when you
Hmm.
had to eat breakfast and when you had to be in line. And, like when you're in line for the chow hall, they're quizzing you with, like they're
Like your
quizzing you
basic
with
knowledge type
like
stuff.
history and
Hmm.
can you sing this song and can you sing that song, and if you don't know the answer, then they send you to the back of the line. So then you're eating last, and it was back to like shoving food in your face because as soon as the last person sat down, like that's when your time started. So you
Yeah.
knew to you hoped either like don't ask me a question today, or you better hope you know the answer. And oh, and before you could enter the chow hall, you had to do pull-ups, and upon leaving the chow hall, you had to do pull-ups. I to this day cannot do a single pull-up. I had assisted pull-ups every time.
Yeah. Well, you now on the Army test, physical test, they don't do pull-ups, right?
So I left the Army right before they changed the PT test. And so no, there's
Okay.
no pull-ups, but they do like the hanging, like the chin hanging arm thing now.
The flexed arm hang? Is that
Yes,
what it
yeah,
is?
they
Yeah.
they added that in.
Okay.
But yeah,
Interesting.
we never yeah, so yeah, I was never able to do a pull-up all on my own. Maybe I'll make that a goal for someday.
There you go. I like it. So now getting through, you didn't have any issues or whatever getting through OCS?
No, so OCS was it was another 12-week program.
Hmm.
It was kind of like the three phases, similar to basic training. Um, and honestly, like one of one of the things that probably helped me the most getting through OCS is I made friends with two gentlemen. Um, because yes, I was enlisted beforehand, but only for
Hmm.
2.5 years, and I didn't really make a whole lot of rank in that time.
Right.
But I made friends with one gentleman. He had been in the Army for 16 years, and he was a first sergeant
Wow.
who had decided to go to OCS. And then the
Holy
other gentleman
cow.
I made friends with, he had been in for 12 years, and he was a staff sergeant. So I made friends with two gentlemen who had years and years of experience, and so
Right.
they were kind of my if I had questions, concerns, they were kind of my
Hmm.
go-to. So,
Wow. Yeah, it's awesome to the people that you meet, but if you rely on those that have been in longer or been around the block more, it definitely makes things easier.
oh yeah, because they made sure that I steered straight.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 absolutely. All right, and now I'm assuming even though you're going officer, you're still going finance route and everything. They didn't change it.
I wish. I wish. Um, so when you go to OCS, I do believe they've changed it now. But for those who are enlisted first
Hmm.
through OCS, um, they pick your branch. Um,
Oh,
so
wow.
time that I went through OCS, they decided, well, we don't need financial officers, we need signal officers. And I was like, oh, okay. So
Wow.
with OCS, like um there's different, like you earn points. So there's different
Hmm.
tests. There's like a water survival test. There's land
Hmm.
nav. There's like a plethora of like your academic studies, but there's a plethora of different tests where you earn
Right.
points. And
Okay.
so whoever has the most points gets first pick at which branch they want. And then,
Okay.
second highest points gets second pick. But they have changed that now because those of us that were enlisted going in, our branch was already chosen for us. So that really didn't give us
Wow.
a whole lot of incentive to try and, get as many points as we could.
Right. Yeah.
So which is why they've changed it. But those that went from basic training straight to OCS, they really worked to try and get those points. So that way at the end of your 12 weeks or 11 weeks, there's a ceremony, like a branching ceremony where, like the first pick says, like, and they'll tell you, well, we have, there's 3 positions open for an infantry officer. There's 4 positions open for an MP officer, and they have like the different branches listed with how many positions are open, and they go in ranking order and they get to choose their branch.
Right.
Well, like I said, um I was told, basically, congratulations, you're now going to be a signal officer. Um, so as I'm sure like signal is like communications, satellites,
Hmm.
radios, um
Right.
fixing people's printers and setting up their emails and making sure that they have like their security run on their computers and all that kind of jazz.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I became an IT person. Like,
No
okay,
kidding.
yeah.
Now.
So yeah, so OCS was at Fort Benning, Georgia.
Mhm.
Signal School was at Fort Gordon, Georgia.
Okay. So how was that school for you?
Um, it's I I had a lot to learn. Because like
Okay.
I wasn't an IT person. I didn't want to be an IT person. I didn't know anything
Right.
about, you know, satellites and all that kind of stuff. But then again, I guess like not a lot of people really did unless you were like a enlisted in one of those professions.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so that school was 4 months long.
Okay.
Because it's very, very technically based.
Right.
Um, so it
Man.
was, I found it, I found it kind of hard, honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but one of the things that's, like when I was at, like one of the last weeks at OCS, when
Hmm.
we were out in the field, because everyone knew that I was going to be a signal officer,
Yeah.
they used to like, always make me carry the radio pack because they're like, oh, well, you're going to be a signal officer, so you get to carry the radio. And it's like, okay, anybody and everybody needs to know how to work a radio, and therefore,
Yeah.
take turns carrying the radio. But yeah, so all of a sudden, I was like the only person that ever carried the radio from that point forward.
That was also awful nice of everybody.
Oh yeah, and then one night, we were supposed to go on a mission, and there was like a lightning storm, and they're
Uh-huh.
like, "All right, go on, let's go, let's get ready." I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm not going." And they're like, "What do you mean you're not going?" I'm like, "I'm carrying the radio with a 10-foot whip antenna through a lightning storm. I don't think so."
Yeah.
And then, like, no, like I'm not looking to get electrocuted tonight. Sorry.
Yeah. 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 Wow.
So they
Yeah.
decided to postpone the mission for like 2 hours until the lightning storm went away because I was like, no, like,
Yeah.
because
Good
like
call.
whoever planned this, no, not gonna happen.
Hmm. Man. Yeah, that could be a bad day right there, walking along and then all of a sudden, bam.
Yeah,
Wow. So now you said it was 4 months, the school that you went to?
correct. Yep.
Okay. So after those 4 months, what did they decide to do?
So after those 4 months, I went to Fort Riley, Kansas.
Okay.
I went into the 267th signal company. So I became a
Hmm.
platoon leader. So there was 3 platoons in our company. One platoon was like strictly they did all the like their specialty was more the satellites.
Okay.
And then the other platoon, they were more like strictly focused on the radios. And then there was the
Okay.
headquarters platoon, which had all the like the support personnel, so your um uh inventory, your HR, your
Oh, okay.
logistics, all the like the
Right.
support personnel.
Okay.
So
That
I
makes
was the
sense.
platoon leader for the satellites
Hmm.
um platoon. And so we basically, unless we were going out to the field or going to, so we were part of so we were the signal company for the fourth. We were the signal company for the first sustainment brigade.
Okay.
First sustainment brigade, who is in support of the first infantry division.
Okay. Makes
Um,
sense.
so we basically like whenever like someone from like first ID, they had 4 battalions under them. So whenever they went out
Hmm.
to like the field, we were their signal company. So we would go out to support them with um, setting up their communications. So that way,
Hmm.
depending on where they were in the field, they could communicate with back to like we'll communicate with each other and then also communicate back to whoever was in the rear at Fort Riley. So
So
that
with
was
so you guys were setting up like all the computers, you were setting up all those types of things?
yeah. So we did everything from the computers and the printers that they had in their tents to
Hmm.
setting up their main radio hub. We would set up like our when I say like our satellites, not like satellites that you put up into the sky, but they were satellites on
Yeah.
the back of trailers.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
we
yeah.
would set, so that way they could have get like internet access, basically in the
Right.
middle of nowhere.
Hmm.
Could send
Okay.
emails because sending emails in the middle of nowhere is important.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everybody's got an email. So
Hmm.
that's how everybody communicates nowadays. Between that and text.
Yeah, so that was my first assignment when I got to Fort Riley, was the as a platoon leader. And
Hmm.
then about a so I did that for close to a year. And then my unit deployed. And I was pregnant at the time, so I
Okay.
stayed on the rear detachment. So I was the um Battalion XO for the rear detachment.
Wow. Okay.
So my goal there, so my job there was, I was in charge of all the inventory.
Oh,
So
that's
all the
fun.
inventory that was left behind, um,
Yeah.
managing it, keeping accountability for it, um, issuing it out, making sure it returns, making sure that everything like stayed like tested and up to date and was still working. And
Right.
um, so
Wow.
that was my job, was just basically inventory, lots and lots of inventory.
Yeah, that's lots and lots of fun right there. I don't think so.
Yeah, well, especially when you're looking for, you get this list and you got like 14 connexes of stuff
Yeah.
that people just kind of like haphazardly throw wherever they find room.
Right.
um, so I made
So
it my job to you know organize it and chart it and figure out where everything was. And
nice.
chances are that, as soon as, everyone came back from deployments, it all went to nothing. But
Yeah, that's a possibility. That seems to be the way we work and operate. I don't understand it, but that's how we do things.
yeah, everyone starts all over.
That's right. Yeah. So you did that there. Now, how long were they deployed?
So they were deployed for 9 months. And
Okay.
then when they came back, then I moved back over to the signal company and became the XO for the signal company.
Okay. I got you.
And so I did that for a year.
Hmm.
Um, and that was um, basically like, as the XO, I did again like the inventory for the company, but
Right.
also made sure that, like, planned a lot of the training for the
Hmm.
platoons, and um, basically everything that the commander didn't want to do, I did.
Right. Yeah, yeah. The catch-all, if you will.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. And then now, how long were you in that position? You said a year?
for a year,
Okay.
and then it came time to deploy again. Um, but so I so when it came to so when I kind of like when I finished that job, I moved over to the battalion S3 office.
Hmm.
So the S3 is they're in charge of like all the training.
Right.
Uh, and so I moved over to the battalion S3 office. And so when we deployed to Afghanistan in 2012, I
Hmm.
deployed with the battalion S3.
Okay.
And so I was only in the job for like 3 months before we deployed. And then when we deployed, we were stationed at Bagram. So we deployed
Hmm.
as a brigade, the First Sustainment Brigade,
Oh, wow.
because
Okay.
First ID was also at Bagram. So that's where we went to support them. So we were stationed at Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan. And like our overall mission was to uh, sup- bring supplies to all um, bases, FOBs, forts in central Afghanistan, North Afghanistan, and East Afghanistan. Um, a little bit south of Kabul, but we didn't do like South Afghanistan.
Right. So
And
basically, you're a lot of convoys and stuff then.
yes, so we brought supplies to all the bases, and then brought back all we'll say junk, all the junk. So everything
Yeah.
that's like all the broken trucks or broken parts or
Right.
anything that needs to get shipped back to the States.
Hmm.
So they brought it back, and so we escorted. We had a plethora of but like transportation battalions.
Okay.
One was our own. One was a National Guard unit out of Louisiana. There was a couple of other, like there was like two National Guard units, two active duty but trucking or transportation battalions, and then our own. So it was five different battalions
Wow.
um, with for transportation. And so we escorted the convoys. So the trucks themselves were all like local nationals, and then
Oh, okay.
we escorted. So we'd have trucks, and we'd have a truck in the lead, and then like after, and then there'd be like two semis and then a truck, and then two semis and a truck, and so we
Hmm.
escorted the locals, who were hired to bring supplies to and from.
Right. So
Yeah, and
it's basically just convoy security is at that point.
basically,
Yeah.
yeah. And so then my job during the deployment is I was the brigade battle captain.
Okay. Now, what specifically is that?
Um, So we worked a swing shift. So I worked from 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. So
Okay.
all the brigades, not all, but like 90% of the brigade staff worked from like eight to eight. And then there was a small portion that worked like the night shift. But I
Mm-hmm.
worked a swing shift, so that way I was part of like the morning shift and the night shift. So that way, like when all the staff switched over, like none of the information got lost. But
Oh, I
mine
see. Yeah.
was, as the brigade battle captain, I sat in like the main room, like so every night before everyone left at 8 p.m. All the brigade staff would have to come into this room, and we'd have to report to the brigade commander, to the
Mm-hmm.
and so that's where I was, and so I had like two computers with three computer screens, and then we had like a plethora of TV monitors. So myself, I had a sergeant first class, and then I had three other NCOs who had different jobs. Like one was, his job was to monitor the radios. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but basically, for all these convoys going out, know when they were leaving, where they were going, who was going. I had to, when they entered into different land regions, I
Mm-hmm.
had to let whoever was in charge of that land region, that we had a
Mm-hmm.
convoy entering and leaving, when they were entering into like their airspace and leaving their airspace. Um, and so then every night I had to, with my TV monitors, I had to let them know, okay, we have three convoys out, one's here, one's there, one's here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they came under fire. No, everything's fine. Um, and so yeah, so like for the gentleman who operated the radio, so if a convoy came under contact,
Mm-hmm.
they get on the radio and they contact us and they say, they're like, convoy ABC, small arms fire. So then we locate their position to see where they are, and then we contact that landowner, whatever battalion, brigade, you know, was in charge of that space, and let them know,
Mm-hmm.
hey, the convoy at these coordinates, they're under contact. Can you send assistance?
Right.
Um,
So like
so
a quick reaction force or something.
always know like where they were, and if they, and to send, so we could get them help if they came under contact. I remember in one case, um, one of the semis was carrying a truck full of bottled water, and
Mm-hmm.
somehow he drove into a big old pothole. And I mean not like a pothole, I mean like more like a sinkhole. Like he drove his truck into a sinkhole filled with bottled water. So then I
Wow.
would basically arrange for my computer screen heaven, um, because like uh like an evacuation plan, so we
Uh-huh.
had to get them help to like secure the area with extra forces, because that's like an accident waiting to happen.
Right.
And we had to send extra equipment because each convoy went with a tow truck.
Mm-hmm.
um, but a tow truck wasn't enough in this case, so I had to get like so we had to send out an additional convoy to get the more excavation equipment.
Yeah.
um, and then basically, because and then because we can't leave that there, because anything that we leave behind, they somehow, it can be grounds to like make an IED from it, so we can't
Right.
leave
Yeah.
it behind. So then basically all that bottled water just kind of got blown up in the sinkhole.
Wow.
Yeah, because like they just, like they don't, no one, you don't trust it, like you don't,
Yeah.
unless you know, unless you see it leave your hands, like you don't trust anything out there, you know, because
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
yeah.
Wow.
So that was my basically my job, you know, and it's you know, unfortunately, you know, we did have a couple of 9 lines. We
Hmm.
did lose a couple of uh, three people. We were there for 9 months. We lost, you know, unfortunately, we lost 3 people.
Hmm.
Um, you know, that's the hardest part. Like every day you go to work and you're like, oh, I hope everything goes smoothly. I hope,
Right.
you know, everyone's sleeping tonight and no one feels like, you know, causing any mischief, you know. Oh, I hope there's
Hmm.
no 9 lines, because yeah,
Oh
like
yeah.
that's the hardest part is you want it to be like super quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, quite as good.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Well, hey, do you mind if we take a short break here? I gotta
Oh,
go.
yeah.
What's that?
No, no worries.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna pause it and then I'll be back here in just a minute. All right, we're back. Okay, so you said you lost three individuals on that deployment.
Correct.
Um, now, how was the morale of like the unit, everybody around? I mean, was it good or?
I mean, like obviously everyone was sad, you know, whenever that happened.
Hmm.
Um, but you know, like for that particular, you know, for the members of that particular convoy, you know, they'd get some time off to, you know, be with or speak to the chaplain and therapists,
Right.
counselors, um, you know, and they'd get some time off, so it wasn't, you know, like, oh, sorry you lost someone, no, you know, get back out on the road.
Hmm.
You know, so they had, you know, time off to kind of you know, grieve and do what they needed to do. Um,
Right.
like for us in the brigade staff, like, you know, obviously it was hard, you know, losing someone, you know, that,
Hmm.
but um it was it was still, you know, like, you know, back to work, back to the mission, because you know,
Right.
you know, because we didn't necessarily know these individuals personally. So yes,
Hmm.
it was hard because, you know, any life lost is hard, especially,
Right.
you know, like when you had like a, you know, like a hand in, um you know, getting them the help that they needed. Um
Hmm.
but you know, when you're hundreds of miles away sitting behind the radio, you know, there's you do everything that you can and just, you know,
Right.
hope people can get there fast.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, so in total, you said 9 month deployment. And then once that was over, like, you went back to, was it Fort Riley? Is that right?
Yes, I went back to Fort Riley. I was there for 4 months, and then I went to the captain's career course back at Fort Gordon in Augusta, Georgia.
Okay.
So the captain's career course, you go back to it's branch specific, so that's why mine went back to Fort Gordon. So
Oh, I see.
basically, I was able to reconnect with a lot of the people that I um originally, like when I first did my, I guess, you know, after OCS trade school training, you know, a lot of those people were there again for the captain's career course. Um,
Okay.
so it's 6 months long.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't really understand why they call it like the captain's career course, because
Hmm.
basically it's just, yes, it's they do, like they don't really teach you how to be a commander. You know, like,
Interesting.
you know, like you learn like all the rules and regulations, you learn what needs to be done as far
Hmm.
as standard practice, um trainings, regulations, but um you know, I'm sure like every person is different and how they lead is different, so you can't,
Hmm.
like, you can teach them the tools, but
Right.
how you use those tools. Every person is different.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So, uh, you said it was 6 months long. So, what types of things, like, I'm assuming you had like PT and then you go to classes and those types of things. Is that how it was?
Yeah, so PT every morning, and
Uh-huh.
then um, so a lot of it was like teaching us how to like plan trainings.
Oh,
So
I
that
see.
when we did, become either like, well, half of it was like, learning how to be like a signal company commander and,
Hmm.
plan out your trainings.
Right.
And then the other half was more, because at that point you can also become an S6, for either like a battalion or a brigade. So the
Oh,
other
right.
is more of, how to be a staff member and support your
Mm,
battalion brigade as the S6.
right. Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. And would you say, overall, I mean, was the course worthwhile?
Um, it was, but six. I don't know that it needed to be 6 months long. Because at that point, like they don't just put you in a barracks. Like
Right.
I had to rent an apartment. Like
Oh, geez.
because they don't just put you up in like temporary housing on base. Like
Right.
6 months. They're like, all right, go find an apartment, and it's like, okay.
Wow. Well, that's fun times. I assume that that in that area, they're probably used to it though. So they probably have 6 month lease type deals.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're definitely used to people breaking their leases early.
Yeah, yeah. Makes sense. And then at that point, did you go back to Riley or did you go somewhere else?
No, I went to Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Oh, okay. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, so I went to Fort Polk, Louisiana, and I became the Battalion S6 for a military police battalion.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, you're way outside of the your original MOS.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I never got back to finance.
So what was that like for you down there with the MP detachment?
Um, it was good. It was definitely an experience because so we were as an MP battalion, like a lot of our equipment was kind of on like the older side. Um,
Hmm.
so we were on the same post as one of the 10th Mountain Brigades.
Mm.
Um, and so we basically got like a lot of their hand-me-downs, and I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
Because all the big brigades get all the nice new stuff, and everyone else just gets the scraps. Um, so I mean, it was a good time, and also because Fort Polk too is where JRTC is. Um,
Oh, okay.
so I don't know like how familiar you are with like Army stuff, but JRTC is where like basically they have hundreds and hundreds of acres of lands that
Mm.
any brigade, battalion, before they deploy, often go down to JRTC and spend
Hmm.
2 to 3 months like prepping for deployments.
Okay.
Like kind of like a mini deployment. And so there's
Hmm.
units in and out of Fort Polk, all the time.
Right.
But our battalion commander at the time was originally from Fort Bragg.
Okay.
And like those the so he was very he liked to so if everyone else is doing stuff on like a level 7, he
Hmm.
wanted to do everything at like a level 12.
Oh,
So it's
geez.
like, oh, they're going out to the field for a week, well then we're gonna go out there for 2 weeks. He wanted to,
Wow.
he was like, um he was just that type of commander that he
Yeah.
he had very high expectations. And
Hmm.
so when I I just got into Fort Polk, and they're like, "Oh, right, we're gonna go to the field, and this is what we expect, and this is what I need." And I was like, okay. So I ended up going. I became very fast friends with the, I guess, communications, the S6 of like the JRTC. So like a lot of
Oh,
them were
okay.
like civilians
Mm-hmm.
who ran like the communications for JRTC. I
Right.
became very, very fast friends with the civilians who were the only way I was going to make my mission happen.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like I
That's
said,
smart.
he had because it's not so much, yeah, like especially like being like a staff member, it's not, I mean, you can be the smartest person you've ever known and be the most technologically savvy person, uh
Mm-hmm.
but it all comes back to who do you know and who can help you.
Right. Yeah.
um
Just
because
about everything's that way, though.
oh yeah,
You,
so it's like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like who's smarter than me and has more access that can help me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. So that was probably a godsend then, to be able to make friends and of all those guys.
Yes, yeah, it was, and I'm not gonna lie, it was like a, um hey, I just got here and I'm new to the position, and I need help. Like, what can you do to help me? Because I have nothing I can offer in return, but please help me.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, it was good that they did offer the help. That's good though.
Yes, yeah, because yeah, so I was in that position for 3 years, and
Oh
basically
wow.
as the S6 for an MP battalion. um it was like, and like, so they, we went to the field like once every quarter. So a
Hmm.
lot of it was like prepping for the field. The rest, a lot of the spare time was just keeping up with equipment, making sure that everything worked and was functional.
Right.
And then also, um, um, I guess when you think of like an IT department, it was fixing people's computers and installing
Hmm.
printers, and whenever they came up with like a new, like a kind of like a Norton security, like a
Oh
virus,
right.
was like keeping like the computers updated with like antivirus protection.
Right.
Um, so just, yeah, basically like IT stuff.
Yeah, and that can be a pain in the butt from time to time. Like, you have to update things so quickly, and well, at least in the Marine Corps, the computer systems that we utilized were not anything new. We'll say that it was just behind the times.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then yeah, and so everything gets, pushed down from, higher up, and they're like, okay, and so, they come up with like, you have until, November 15th to get all your computers updated. Well, by the time it gets trickled down from the division to the brigade to the battalion, it's like, okay, you have 2 weeks to get this done.
Yeah, that's convenient. You think you guys would be the first one they tell? That way, you have plenty of time to work on it.
Yeah, well, even in the, like the different specialty branches, like we still have our, you have your hierarchy is in, your battalion commander, and then you have your other hierarchy is in like the signal world.
Hmm. Right. Wow. So you did that 3 years though. Like, what would you say was the best part of serving there in Louisiana?
Um, the food.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
The food was delicious. Well, and also just the camaraderie.
Hmm.
Um, like to this day, like some of the NCOs that I worked with,
Hmm.
like we still talk like to this day. And
Nice.
especially like, so I'm from Wisconsin, so I'm from like the north where
Right.
um like everyone, like the pace is a little faster. Like when
Hmm.
someone says to do something, you do it, you jump. When you get
Hmm.
down to the south, it's a much slower pace.
Yeah.
Like you ask for something to get done, and it's not like, okay, let me drop everything I'm doing and get that done right away. It's oh, I'll get to it when I get to it, or well,
Yeah.
maybe next week is a good time for me. And that was frustrating, like very
Yeah.
frustrating.
I can see that. Especially if you're used to hey, getting this done, doing it quick, adjusting to that type of I almost said behavior. That's not the word I was looking for. Uh anyways,
Culture,
yeah, there you go. Culture. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Could
but
be difficult.
I mean, overall, like the people, because it definitely wasn't the place. Um,
Yeah.
like the town outside of Fort Polk is, your typical military town. There's a lot of fast food restaurants and gas stations and bars, and
Yeah.
um, you know, um, the weather was hot. It was
Yeah.
very, very hot. Like 110 degrees with humidity hot.
Yeah.
So it was the people. The people made it enjoyable.
Now, would you say out of all the duty stations you had up to that point, which one was the best?
Oh, pro. I'm kind of torn between Fort Riley and Fort Polk. Um,
Okay.
Only because like at Fort Riley, um, like I well, my kids were born at Fort Riley, so that's got a
Eh,
sentimental kind of part in
yeah.
my heart. But I made really good friends at both Fort Riley and Fort Polk.
Hmm.
Um, but I guess overall we'd probably go with Louisiana, with Fort
Yeah.
Polk. Um,
Okay.
it just and like the culture, the food, the people. I mean,
Hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. It
even
is a good
eat
area.
terrible.
Yeah. So now at this point, 3 years there, and then were you getting ready to go somewhere else, do something new? What happened then?
So at that point, so now I had 10 years active duty.
Hmm.
So in 2000, that was 2016. So the end of
Hmm.
2016, I actually left active duty and moved back to Wisconsin, and I
Okay.
joined the reserves.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so was I found a uh training brigade about an hour from my home. So I became the brigade S6 for this training brigade.
Okay.
Um, and the training brigade, basically their job was they had 5 different battalions. So the
Hmm.
brigade headquarters was in Wisconsin, and then they had a battalion of just HR folks, also in
Hmm.
Wisconsin. And then they had a brigade in Buffalo, New York, a brigade in Virginia, a brigade in the Chicago area, and a brigade
Wow,
in Oklahoma. And
that's wild.
yeah, all over the place. And so our like the brigade's mission was to train drill sergeants, engineer drill sergeants, MP drill sergeants, and chemical drill sergeants. So that
Okay.
way, the active duty drill sergeants at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, would go on like a 2-week vacation.
Right.
Then we would send in our reserve drill sergeants to backfill them when they went on their vacations.
No kidding. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so then my job as the Brigade S6 was a lot of the same stuff, like
Hmm.
computers, internet, making sure, like security patches are being filled.
Mm,
Once a year, I travel to each of the battalions to, install updates and
hmm.
replace equipment and um,
Wow. Okay.
basically do the same stuff that I had been doing at the battalion level.
Now, was this were you reserve but full time, or was this
No,
how
so
did that work?
um, so um, long story short, back in 2000, right before I went to Afghanistan, my dad got diagnosed with leukemia,
Hmm.
and so at this point now in 2019, my dad had kind of taken a turn for the worst, and so I
Hmm.
wanted to be closer to him, be closer to home, spend time with him, make sure my kids had good memories of grandpa.
Right.
So I chose to go back home, and for the first year that I was in so I was just the weekend warrior, as they call them.
Right.
Um, and then I had gotten a job um, doing IT because that was the only thing I knew how to do. And that was the only thing on my resume. I got a job at the Kohler company in their IT department. Not
Okay.
because I liked it or I enjoyed it, but it was the only thing I knew how to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they trained you, so okay.
Yeah, you know. I know not a lot of military careers, necessarily transfer over to the civilian world, but for the most part, IT does.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. Especially nowadays. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. So you're still doing at that point. You're still doing the weekend warrior thing,
yeah,
um, and then working your civilian job and just being close to family.
yeah. So I was in the reserves for 3 years.
Okay.
Um, and then at um, I decided to go to pharmacy school to become a pharmacist,
Okay.
and I was able to get a scholarship through the VA,
Nice.
and so I couldn't double dip. So I couldn't get the scholarship from the VA and then also get like my monthly paycheck from the reserves.
Really?
So
Wow.
yeah, so I went into the IRR.
Okay.
Um, and so while I was in pharmacy school, and well, obviously, like I've since graduated and am no longer, like on my scholarship. So
Hmm.
I actually am in the works of filling out the paperwork to go back into the reserves as a pharmacist.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, but
Very nice.
it's not as easy as like, so I have to like do paperwork and sit. I have to like go in front of a board because now I'd be in like the medical corps.
Right.
And so they have a board for that, so you can't just say,
Hmm.
"All right, I'm ready to come back in, sign me up," or you know,
Oh, I see.
switch
So you got
switch
to
my
be selected.
switch my
You got to be
status.
Yeah, you got to be selected to go into that branch, the
Yeah,
medical branch. Yeah.
yep. But
Interesting.
um, but yeah, because like everyone's like, well, you already, they're like you were 13 years. Why'd you stop? What happened? Or it's like, well, life kind of got in the way, but I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thanks to my active duty years, I'm only 32 in the Army system.
Yeah.
So, so if I go back in
Nice.
years, they subtract my active duty years. So I'm only 32, you know. So I got lots of time left.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's interesting how that works. I'd never really known.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, if you go into the reserves, yeah, they subtract your active duty years from your actual age, and that's what,
That's cool.
cool.
Yeah, as long as you don't have to take their physical fitness test at that age. Hopefully, it's the other, the older age, because it's easier.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, no. They only subtract your years for getting in.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
and
that could be bad. At least for me, it would be.
yeah, because yeah, at my age, it's like, oh, I can run 2 miles in 20 minutes, not a problem. I could probably walk that.
Nice. Yeah, man, that sounds nice. I couldn't. I don't even know if I could walk that right now. I don't know. Well, and now you're currently trying to get back in, and you're still in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, so I'm still in Wisconsin. I work as a full-time pharmacist. And then yeah, so I'm working on because I never resigned my commission. I just went into the IRR. Um,
Right.
and yes, and I know like because I don't know, like I apparently like as an officer, like you can just like stay in the IRR forever. You know.
Really?
Well, because I know like because I know like okay, so let's say like if you only did like 5 years of service,
Uh-huh.
then you're in the IRR for like 3 years, and then you're just
Okay.
kind of done.
Right.
Um, but like for me, um, like as long as so every year I have to like go to my muster appointments and say yes, I'm still alive. Yes, I'm still
Wow.
healthy. No, I don't have these problems. And as long as I like go to my yearly meetings to basically say like, yes, I am, if I were to get called up for duty tomorrow, yes, I am still functional and can perform my duties.
Right. Wow. I had no idea. That's pretty cool. Hmm. Learn something new every day, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, is there anything else that maybe we missed that you want to talk about?
Um, no, I don't think so. I mean, that's basically my story in a nutshell. Very, very unconventional. So then again, like
Yeah.
everything I've ever done is unconventional.
You definitely have gone in a completely different direction than where you originally were trying to go. So, yeah, it's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, and like the sad thing is like, so when I originally enlisted to be finance, um, I I gave up my sign-on bonus to be in finance because they kind of so finance is a very, very small branch.
Uh-huh.
And so they try to discourage people from going into finance because it's so small. So I actually gave up my sign-on bonus to be finance.
No
And
kidding. Wow.
it didn't work out for me anyways.
That's wild. I didn't realize they would try to discourage people from going into the MOS. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, because I guess I don't know. Well, because I guess when people I don't know, they must have like the conception of like, oh, well, that's just they maybe think it's like easy or not a lot of work involved or not very
Right.
physical, like oh, like finance. So you just sit at a desk on a computer. I can do that.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
opposed
yeah.
to, like if like I don't know, like oh, I don't know. I guess a lot of people want to do infantry, but like
Yeah.
chemical. No one wants to go into the chemical corps.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. And they need them. They're always scrounging, trying to find somebody.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, hey, as we approach the end, I always do these rapid fire questions. You ready to do some rapid fire questions?
Sure.
All right. Here we go. What is your proudest military moment?
Um, when I was awarded the Bronze Star.
Oh, wow. Okay. Where was that after your deployment?
Yep,
Where was
yeah.
that
So that
at?
was as we were leaving Afghanistan.
Okay. Very nice. Okay. I like it. And then, what is your most embarrassing military moment?
It's actually like on a video that my mom has. Um, during basic training, like we were
Uh-huh.
running like an obstacle, and apparently like they were doing like videos, like to. give to family members afterwards. And
Uh-huh.
there's like the like a I don't know like if like a log on like horses, like not
Uh-huh.
real horses, but like basically a log that you have to like kind of like jump over. And
Right.
so everyone's running and leaping over this log, and I run up and I stop and I put my hands on it and I gracefully jump over the log. And that happens to be the moment that was like captured on video forever.
Very nice. Hey, not everybody has their most embarrassing moment on video, so that's pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, because I'm not a hurdler apparently.
Oh, that's great. All right, if you could be one military leader for a day, who would that be?
Oh, um, oh boy.
There's a lot to
Um,
choose from.
yeah. Um, I don't know. Honestly, like I know everyone probably thinks of like all these like famous like military people that everyone's heard of. Um,
Yeah.
but I would go with so his name was Lieutenant Colonel Bowen, and he was our
Hmm.
S3 brigade commander. And he was I don't know, he was reasonable and fair, but also
Hmm.
like stern and strict.
Yeah.
So he had that perfect mix of, yes, you can approach me, but if you screw up, I'm going to chew your head off.
Yeah. 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 I like it. Okay. That's a good answer. Let's see. If you could change one rule in the military, what would it be?
Uh, hmm. It's probably going to be stupid, but they have like separate PT for pregnant ladies,
Okay.
and I absolutely hate that because um, it just it it makes you it's very isolating, and it makes you feel
Mm.
like you I don't know. I don't agree with it because
Okay.
even if you're female, even if you're pregnant, like you can
Hmm.
still do anything and everything that you could do before.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't realize that they did that.
Maybe an army thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
maybe. I don't know. All right, in the zombie apocalypse, what would be your weapon of choice and what anthem would be playing?
I would probably go with the saw.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and the reasoning for that is because on many, many, many ruck marches, I got stuck carrying the saw because I am just so fortunate to have various drill sergeants and leaders
Uh-huh.
who don't believe that females should get off easy,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore
Okay.
all the females always had to carry the big weapons.
Nice. Nice.
So,
Okay.
um, yeah, I got very familiar with carrying my saw,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the
It made an impression on you.
yes, and I don't know. We'll go with Eye of the Tiger.
Ooh, I like that one. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. What animal best describes your time in service?
Um, well, my favorite animal is the sea otter, so we'll go with sea
Okay.
otter.
All
Just go
right.
with sea otters.
Yeah. No, nothing wrong with that. That's good. That's good. Let's see here. Knowing what you know now, would you do it all over again?
I would. I mean, yeah, I'd
Very
make
nice.
some changes. I'd do things differently, but for the
Mm-hmm.
overall, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. Very nice. Now, I always give time for words of wisdom. Anything that you have for the listeners?
So some things that I kind of learned that I like still live by to this day, and I try to teach my kids is, hope for the best, plan for the worst, um, and um, I don't know. I guess for me, like especially like being a female,
Hmm.
like there's definitely the minority in military service.
Right.
Um, that's we can do anything and everything that our counterparts can do, and um, if they're being hard on you, that just means that they're intimidated.
Ah, there you go. I like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good. Good, solid advice all the way around. Well, Alicia, thanks for coming on and doing this. I've enjoyed myself. Hopefully, you had a good time. But I definitely had a good time.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it.
Awesome. Well, I close out every
Thanks for
podcast. Oh yeah, absolutely. I close out every podcast talking about veteran suicide and ways that you can get some help. So for all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA has some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. Alicia cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you served with, ask them how they're doing. And if they need that helping hand, please give it to them. One last time, thank you very much for coming on, Alicia. To all the listeners out there, stay motivated, change your sock. Thanks for tuning in to the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices podcast. Our mission? Simple. Preserve history, one veteran story at a time. If you'd like to support this work, consider making a donation or sponsoring an episode. Every contribution helps us capture and share more stories for future generations. You can learn more and give at thelostart.podbean.com or by clicking the link in the episode's description. Stay motivated, change your socks, and remember, every story matters.